This is a lesson on Giuliani Arpeggios, or right hand exercises, number 21 to 24. And follow lesson for free, but if you're interested, all 120 Giuliani Arpeggios are in my technique book, and there's a link for that in the description. Also in my technique book, before the 120 arpeggios are actually 100 open string exercises just for the right hand, just to make sure your right hand is organized before you tackle these. Also in the description is another lesson on how to practice these arpeggios. I don't want to repeat myself over and over, but it talks about planting and some other concepts that can help you with these. And just make sure you've been practicing them in order so that you've caught all the tips that I've given so far, because I won't repeat all of them here. So number 21 to 24 kind of build upon the technique we learned in number 18 to 19 with that double thumb rest stroke. We were doing that light rest stroke with the thumb just on the first two bass notes. Rest, rest, free, rest, rest, free, or rest, free, free, rest, free, free, rest stroke, free, free, rest stroke, free, free. And when you get to number 21, you're going to continue that, but in combination with the rest stroke in the thumb, you'll be playing a chord as well. So you can see there, if we isolate just the bass voice, it's like those previous exercises we did. Rest stroke, free, free, rest stroke, free, free. Except you'll be repeating the M and the A finger on the upper notes. I think one thing that students will find difficult, if you haven't done it before, is doing the free stroke with these fingers, but the rest stroke with the thumb. It might seem a little bit odd at first. Also, just the fact that the thumb will rest on that string before the fingers rest on the next set of strings. Because you can see in between, after the first stroke, my thumb is already resting on that fourth string. So it's a skill you want to become used to. Now, you can play these all number 21 to 24 with all free stroke. And I would encourage that you do both. Do all free stroke, but also practice the rest stroke in the thumb after the first note. So just the rest stroke there, and then free. I think the majority of professional guitarists would probably play this exercise with the rest stroke in the thumb, but that really depends. As a student, you probably want to practice both because you want both skills. Doing the rest stroke with the thumb is a very secure way of practicing because it really anchors the right hand and ensures that your thumb is in the right place at the right time. It's just like planting the preparation exercises that we do in the right hand, which that other video, which I have a link for in the description, discusses in regards to planting your fingers on the strings before they play. So that double thumb stroke, rest stroke can be really helpful for building security and just like fortifying the experience and the sound sometimes as well. But it takes some getting used to, and you have to have like a light but secure rest stroke in the thumb. It's not, I say light because you want to be able to glide through the strings while doing free strokes with the fingers, but it also, because it's a rest stroke, there's a certain amount of like firmness to the sound that you're getting, and even just in terms of your right hand technique, there's a security and there's a certain amount of weight to the sound and to the feeling of playing it, but at the same time, you don't want to use a lot of force because you need to be able to relax. Especially if you start going faster, you can't be doing a really heavy stroke. It has to be light enough that you're able to glide through those bass notes. So it's a skill that you'll want to practice, and it might take a little while, but just make sure that you're practicing the bass on its own. If you've already done number 18 to 20, you most likely already have the skill, so I don't need to say this, but nevertheless, practice that on its own and then add in the upper notes and just play around with it. Sit around and get used to it and get it into the muscle memory. So number 22, same concept, except the chord occurs on the latter half of the triplet. So it's just a single bass note, which we'll do as a rest stroke. Also practice free stroke as well, but I'm focusing on the rest strokes. And then the rest is free strokes. This one might be confusing at first because of the IMA that occurs afterwards. It just seems weird after playing a double thumb stroke, but you'll get used to it very quickly. I really like, this set of arpeggio patterns because these kinds of things happen in repertoire very often, and these are very practical fingerings that you can use in your repertoire. So I think in particular this one could occur in lots of situations, and it just kind of informs you. Like you could do your thumb stroke the whole time, and play the last one with your thumb, but I think a lot of players would do this where you double up the thumb and then finish the top three strings with I, M, and A. So it's like these arpeggios are like a guide to fingering in your repertoire. If you see a similar pattern in your repertoire, you could consider using the same fingering or a different one, but nevertheless, you'll have this in your technique already. Number 23 is you're just playing the chord on the outer notes of the triplet. So it's a chord based on its own, and then I am A. Again, I'm focusing on doing a rest stroke on the first bass note. That one freaks out my brain a little bit for some reason. Something about the IMA followed by the PMA. Sorry. Feels better after doing it once or twice, but when I first start doing it, it just like something doesn't click always. But then on the repeat, it feels fine. Nothing new to say. Like once you have the bass note pattern down with the right hand, it doesn't really matter where you play the chords. They can just occur anywhere. In number 24, they occur on every single note of the triplet. I think the danger on number 24, but maybe all of these, is students with a right hand technique that isn't very secure. You might see lots of bouncing, like especially if you weren't doing the rest stroke. But if you're doing all free stroke, you might see like I see this a lot with students. This kind of bouncing right hand. Maybe actually just doing the rest stroke with the thumb, ensures that you're really directing the energy with your fingers, while your right hand really maintains a pretty good and secure stillness in it. It should be relaxed, but your contact point is here, and then you're locked in. There shouldn't be a lot of bouncing here. It's not needed. That would be like superfluous motion. So you just want a really economic right hand that just uses the fingers to play, and no bouncing in the hand. You want your hand and your arm position to be very secure, and that's what helps with accuracy. If your hand is bouncing around, that's like trying to hit the strings while your hand is moving. It's like you're creating an opportunity for mistakes there. You want a really secure right hand that pretty much just stays in the same place, but your fingers are doing all the motion. I forgot to change chords. don't be super picky. There can be like a little bit of motion. You can see like there's a little bit of like motion, mainly just from my finger movement in my hand. So you see some motion in my hand, but there's no bouncing. It's not like this, which you'll see from students all the time that are yanking the strings outward instead of pushing them in towards your stomach. All of these arpeggios are really great because they could be played quite with lots of bounce and a little bit sloppy, and with all the repeated notes, there could be lots of tension in the hand and the body. So it's a really great opportunity for you to work on, security in the right hand and having a nice still and focused hand that was with finger movement, and relaxation, tracking the relaxation through your right arm and into your neck. And just being able to play it and play it lightly with a light rest stroke. And it's just a great opportunity to get through that. And then these kinds of textures definitely occur in music a lot because music is filled with chords and much longer than these examples. So working out tension and fingering in these little tiny examples can give you insights about how to tackle those topics in your repertoire as well.